Thorn Ashford's hand closes around my wrist hard enough to bruise. "Stand up straight," he hisses in my ear, his breath reeking of whiskey and cigarettes. "And smile. You're about to make me a very rich man." I'm 16 years old, standing in the center of Eclipse's private auction room, and I'm being sold. Not metaphorically, not in some abstract way that people use when they talk about selling your soul or selling out your dreams. I mean, literally, actually being sold to the highest bidder, like a piece of furniture or a used car or livestock at a county fair. The room is small, maybe 20 feet by 20 feet, with walls covered in dark red velvet that swallows sound. 7 men sit in leather chairs arranged in a semicircle, all of them staring at me with expressions ranging from clinical interest to something that makes my skin crawl. The lighting is harsh and direct, a spotlight positioned to illuminate me while keeping them shrouded in shadow. I want to run. Every instinct in my body screams at me to bolt for the door, to fight, to do anything except stand here while strange men evaluate me like I'm a horse they're considering purchasing. But Thorn's fingers dig into my arm, and the 2 security guards flanking the exit make it clear that running isn't an option. "Gentlemen," Thorn begins, his voice taking on the smooth, practiced tone of a salesman. "As promised, I present Solène Graves, 16 years old, no family, no one looking for her. Clean, obedient, and completely untouched." The way he says that last word makes bile rise in my throat. One of the men leans forward, the light catching his face for just a moment. He's older, maybe 50, with gray hair and a wedding ring that glints gold on his left hand. "Let me see your teeth." I stop breathing. Thorn doesn't hesitate. He grabs my jaw, forcing my mouth open while the man stands and approaches, peering at my teeth like I'm a horse he's considering for purchase. His cologne is overwhelming, expensive and cloying. He's so close I can see the broken blood vessels in his nose, the way his eyes are glassy from whatever he's been drinking. "Good bone structure," he murmurs, more to himself than to Thorn. "No visible dental work. That's rare these days." He steps back, returning to his seat. "What's the starting bid?" 50,000, Thorn announces, "and worth every penny, I assure you. She's been working at Eclipse for 9 months. Knows how to keep her mouth shut, follows orders without question. A blank slate gentleman, completely trainable." Trainable. Like I'm a dog. The tears burn behind my eyes, but I don't let them fall. Crying is weakness, and Thorn punishes weakness. I learned that my first week at Eclipse when I made the mistake of crying after a customer grabbed me. Thorn locked me in the storage freezer for 3 hours, said it would teach me that nobody cares about my feelings. He was right. Nobody does. 60,000. The voice comes from the left side of the room, deep and accented. I can't see the speaker's face, but something about his tone is different from the others, colder, more certain. 65, counters another man. This one younger, maybe early 30s, with slicked back hair and a suit that screams new money trying to look like old money. 100,000. The room goes silent. The bid came from the back corner, from a man I hadn't noticed before. He's been sitting so still, so completely motionless, that my eyes slid past him in the shadows. But now he stands, and the spotlight catches him as he moves forward. He's tall, at least 6'3", with dark hair that falls slightly across his forehead and a face that looks like it was carved from marble. Sharp cheekbones, a jaw that could cut glass, eyes the color of storm clouds, gray with flecks of silver that catch the light. He's younger than the other men, maybe early 30s, and he moves with a predator's grace that makes every cell in my body scream danger. His suit is charcoal gray and perfectly tailored, the kind of quality that whispers old money and power. But it's not his clothes that make the other men shrink back in their seats. It's something else, some invisible force that radiates from him like heat from a furnace. "Mr. Kove," Thorn says, and for the first time since I've known him, there's something like fear in his voice. "I didn't realize you were interested in tonight's offering." 100,000, the man repeats, his accent placing him somewhere in Eastern Europe. Cash, now. Of course. But if anyone would like to counter, no one is going to counter. It's not a question. It's a statement of fact delivered in a voice that brooks no argument. His gray eyes sweep across the other men in the room, and one by one they look away. Even the older man with the wedding ring suddenly finds his shoes very interesting. Thorn's grip on my arm tightens painfully. Sold, then, to Mr. Rhysander Kove. If you'll just follow me to the office to complete the paperwork. She comes with me now. Rhysander Kove is looking at me for the first time, really looking, and the intensity of his gaze makes me want to disappear. The money will be transferred within the hour. You have my word. Your word is more than sufficient, Mr. Kove. Thorn is practically groveling now, and there's something darkly satisfying about seeing him reduced to this. Solène, go with Mr. Kove, and remember everything I taught you about obedience and respect. He releases my arm with a shove that nearly sends me stumbling. I catch myself, my heart hammering so hard I can feel it in my throat, in my fingertips, behind my eyes. This is it. This is the moment my life changes forever, and I have absolutely no control over it. Rhysander Kove extends his hand toward me. Not to grab me, not to force me, but offering. Like I have a choice. Like I'm a person who gets to make decisions about her own body and her own life. I stare at his hand for a long moment. His fingers are long, elegant despite the calluses I can see across his knuckles. The hand of someone who's used to violence but also to precision. There's a ring on his right hand, platinum with a black stone that absorbs the light. Come, he says softly. Not an order exactly. More like an invitation. What choice do I have? I place my hand in his. His grip is warm, firm, and surprisingly gentle. He leads me toward the door, past the security guards who step aside without question, past Thorn who watches us leave with an expression I can't quite read. The hallway outside the auction room feels like a different world. The music from the club's main floor is muted here, just a distant pulse of bass that vibrates through the walls. Rhysander doesn't speak as we walk, his hand still holding mine, his pace measured so I can keep up despite my shorter legs and the cheap heels Thorn makes me wear. We reach the service elevator, the one staff uses to avoid the club's wealthy patrons. He presses the button for the ground floor, and we descend in silence. I'm acutely aware of everything in this moment. The slight tremor in my hands, the way my uniform, a black skirt and white blouse that Thorn chose specifically because it makes me look younger, feels like a costume now. The fact that I'm in an elevator with a stranger who just paid $100,000 for me. The reality of my situation crashes over me like a wave. I've been sold. Some part of me knew this was coming. Thorn has been hinting at it for weeks, making comments about how I was an investment and how he knew several interested parties who appreciated fresh merchandise. I thought I was prepared for this moment. I thought I could handle it. I was wrong. My knees buckle. Rhysander catches me before I hit the floor, his arm sliding around my waist with reflexes that suggest he was expecting this. He holds me against his side, supporting my weight effortlessly, and when I look up at him, I see something in his expression that I don't understand. Not the hunger I saw in the other men's eyes, not ownership or possession, something else, something I can't name. Breathe, he says quietly. In through your nose, out through your mouth. That's it. He's coaching me through a panic attack like he's done it before, like he knows exactly what's happening in my body right now. The elevator doors open onto the ground floor, a service area with concrete walls and industrial lighting. A black Range Rover with tinted windows waits directly outside the door, engine running. Rhysander guides me toward it, still supporting most of my weight. A man in a dark suit, clearly security, opens the back door without a word. The interior is all black leather and tinted windows. Safe, private, a cage, but a gilded one. Please, I hear myself say, though I don't know what I'm asking for. Please let me go. Please don't hurt me. Please make this not be happening. Rhysander helps me into the SUV with a gentleness that contradicts everything about him. The violence implied in his posture, the fear he inspired in Thorn, the casual way he threw around $100,000 like it was pocket change. He slides in beside me and the door closes, sealing us in together. The security guard gets into the driver's seat and then we're moving, pulling away from Eclipse and into the Manhattan night. I press myself against the far door, trying to make myself as small as possible, trying to disappear the way I've learned to do when men look at me with certain expressions. But Rhysander doesn't crowd me, doesn't move closer. He sits on his side of the seat, his posture relaxed, his gaze fixed on something outside the window. "What's your full name?" he asks after several minutes of silence. The question is so unexpected that I answer without thinking. "Solène Graves." "How long have you worked at Eclipse, Solène?" 9 months. And before that? Foster care. Group home on the Lower East Side. I aged out of the system 6 months before I turned 16. Thorn found me sleeping in Penn Station. The words come out flat, factual. I've told this story before, to social workers and counselors, and anyone who asked, until it stopped feeling like my life, and started feeling like a story about someone else. Rhysander nods slowly, still not looking at me. "Do you have anyone? Family? Friends? Someone who would look for you?" The question hurts more than it should. "No." "Good." The word sends ice through my veins. "Good? Good that I'm alone? Good that no one will miss me? Good that he can do whatever he wants and no one will come looking?" Finally, he turns to face me. Those gray eyes pin me in place, and I can't look away even though every instinct tells me to. "I'm not going to hurt you," he says, and his voice is so calm, so matter-of-fact, that I almost believe him. "I'm not going to touch you, and I'm going to make Thorn Ashford regret ever laying hands on you. If you're already hooked by this story, please hit that like button and subscribe. You won't believe where this is going." The name jolts through me. "You know his full name?" I know everything about Thorn Ashford. Something dangerous flashes across Rhysander's face. I know he runs Eclipse as a front for human trafficking. I know he's been selling girls like you for the past 7 years. I know he has connections to the Castellano family and uses their protection to operate with impunity. Then why? I stop myself, but he understands the question anyway. Why did I just pay him $100,000? His lips curve into something that might be a smile if smiles could be weapons. Because Thorn Ashford has something I want, and now, thanks to you, I have leverage. I don't understand. You don't need to, not yet. He reaches into his jacket and pulls out a phone. Sleek, expensive, the kind with security features I've only seen in movies. He types something quickly, then puts it away. What you need to understand is this. As of tonight, you work for me. You live in my house, you follow my rules, and you do exactly what I tell you. In exchange, you'll be safe, fed, and protected. No one will touch you. No one will hurt you. And when this is over, you'll have money enough to start over anywhere you want. When what is over? My business with Thorn Ashford. The Range Rover pulls up to a building in Tribeca, one of those converted warehouses that now houses multi-million-dollar lofts. The security guard opens my door, and Rhysander gestures for me to follow him. We take a private elevator to the top floor. The doors open directly into a massive open-plan space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Hudson River. The furniture is minimal but clearly expensive, all clean lines and neutral tones. Art that I don't recognize but suspect is worth more than Thorn's entire club hangs on exposed brick walls. This is wealth. Real wealth. The kind that doesn't need to prove anything because it simply exists. You'll stay in the guest room, Rhysander says, leading me through the space. It has its own bathroom. You'll find clothes in the closet. I had them prepared when I learned about tonight's auction. He knew. He knew this was happening and planned for it. The guest room is larger than the entire apartment I shared with 3 other girls in my last group home. The bed is enormous, covered in white linens that look like clouds. The attached bathroom has heated floors and a shower that could fit 4 people. "Get some rest," Rhysander says from the doorway. "We'll talk more in the morning." Wait. The word escapes before I can stop it. He pauses, one hand on the doorframe, looking back at me with those unreadable gray eyes. "Why did you buy me? Really?" He's quiet for a long moment, and I think he's not going to answer. Then, because 16-year-old girls shouldn't be sold like property, because Thorn Ashford is a cancer that needs to be cut out, and because... He trails off, something flickering across his face too quickly for me to catch. Because I know what it's like to be powerless, and I have the power now to stop it. He closes the door softly, and I'm alone. I should feel relieved. I'm out of Eclipse, away from Thorn, in a beautiful room with a lock on the door. But all I feel is numb. I've been invisible for so long that I forgot what it felt like to be seen. Tonight, Rhysander Kove looked at me and saw a person. Not merchandise, not an object, a person. And somehow that's more terrifying than anything else that's happened. I don't sleep. How can I? My mind races through every possible scenario. Maybe Rhysander was lying. Maybe this is an elaborate setup, and in the morning, something worse than Eclipse awaits me. Maybe he's just a different kind of monster who prefers to break his victims with kindness first. But when morning light streams through the massive windows, nothing happens. No one comes to hurt me. No one demands anything from me. Eventually, I hear movement in the main living area. Quiet voices, the sound of coffee being made. I venture out of the guest room like a mouse emerging from its hole, ready to bolt at the first sign of danger. Rhysander sits at the kitchen island, reading something on his tablet. He's dressed in dark jeans and a black t-shirt that shows the definition of his arms. Clearly, the athletic build I suspected last night is real. His hair is slightly damp, like he recently showered. A woman stands at the stove cooking eggs. She's maybe 40, with kind eyes and silver-streaked dark hair pulled back in a bun. She smiles when she sees me. "Good morning. You must be Solène. I'm Leora. I manage Mr. Kove's household." Her accent matches his, Eastern European, but softened by years of speaking English. "Are you hungry? I'm making breakfast." I nod because I don't trust my voice. Rhysander looks up from his tablet. "Sit," he says, gesturing to the island. Not an order, exactly. More like permission. I perch on one of the stools, acutely aware that I'm still wearing yesterday's uniform. Leora slides a plate in front of me, scrambled eggs, toast, fresh fruit. More food than Thorn gave me in a week. "Eat," Rhysander says, noticing my hesitation. "Leora's cooking is the best in the city. She'll be offended if you don't." Leora laughs, waving him off with her spatula, and something about the easy familiarity between them makes my chest tight. This is a home. A real home, with people who care about each other. I eat slowly, each bite feeling like a small rebellion against every time Thorn told me I was eating too much, costing him too much, taking up too much space. When I finish, Rhysander sets his tablet aside and looks at me with those intense gray eyes. "Here's how this works," he begins. "For the next several weeks, you're going to help me destroy Thorn Ashford. You're going to tell me everything you know about Eclipse, the layout, the security, his schedule, his business contacts, his habits, everything. You're going after him. It's not a question. I'm going to dismantle his entire operation. The trafficking, the money laundering, the drugs, all of it. And when I'm done, Thorn Ashford will spend the rest of his life in a federal prison." His voice is calm, matter of fact, like he's describing plans for grocery shopping instead of taking down a criminal empire. "Why do you care?" I ask. You're obviously not a cop. And no offense, but you seem like... I trail off, unsure how to finish that sentence. Like I'm part of the same world Thorn operates in? He smiles that dangerous smile again. You're perceptive. Yes, I'm involved in certain business ventures that operate outside legal boundaries. But there are rules, even in my world. Lines that don't get crossed. Thorn crossed those lines. What lines? Children. The single word is delivered with such cold fury that I shiver despite the warm apartment. Adults can choose to be involved in dangerous businesses. They know the risks. But children, his jaw tightens, children don't get a choice, and men like Thorn profit from that lack of choice. I think about the auction room, the way those men looked at me, the casual way Thorn discussed my features like I was livestock. I'll tell you everything I know, I say quietly. Every detail, every person who came to Eclipse, every conversation I overheard. I want him gone too. Rhysander nods once, satisfied. Good. We start today. Lyra appears with more coffee, and Rhysander pulls out a notebook. Actual paper and pen, I notice, not digital. More secure, harder to hack. Start from the beginning, he says. How did Thorn find you? I take a breath and begin the story I've never told anyone. The whole truth about the months at Eclipse, the things I saw, the conversations I overheard while I was invisible, serving drinks and cleaning up after monsters. Rhysander listens without interrupting, his expression neutral but his hand moving across the page, recording everything in neat, precise handwriting. Occasionally, he asks clarifying questions, dates, names, physical descriptions. Hours pass. Leora brings lunch, then dinner. Still, we continue. Every detail matters, Rhysander says. Every scrap of information could be the piece that brings everything down. By the time we finish, night has fallen again, and I'm exhausted. But there's something else, too. Something unfamiliar that takes me a moment to identify. Hope. For the first time in 9 months, maybe for the first time since my mother died when I was 12, I feel like someone actually sees me. Not as an object or a burden or a problem to be managed, but as a person with value, a person whose information matters, a person who can help stop something terrible. You did well today, Rhysander says as I'm about to return to the guest room. Get some rest. Tomorrow we start planning. Rhysander? He pauses at the sound of his first name. I've been carefully using Mr. Kove all day, trying to maintain some professional distance, but it slips out now. Thank you for buying me. For this. He looks at me for a long moment, and something shifts in his expression. Something almost like pain. Don't thank me yet, Solène, he says quietly. What we're about to do is dangerous. Thorn won't go down without a fight. And when he realizes what's happening, he'll come for both of us. I know. And you're still willing to help? I think about the other girls at Eclipse, the ones who came after me, who are probably standing in that auction room right now, being evaluated by men with dead eyes and fat wallets. I think about Thorn's hand on my wrist, his breath on my neck, the way he talked about me like I was meat. Yes, I say firmly. I'm willing. Rhysander nods once, and I see approval flash across his face. Then we'll make him regret ever looking at you. 3 weeks pass in a blur of planning, preparation, and transformation. Rhysander is methodical. Every morning, we sit at the kitchen island while I describe another aspect of Eclipse's operations. He asks questions I never would have thought relevant. What time does the cleaning crew arrive? Which suppliers deliver alcohol? How many exits are there, and which ones are monitored? But it's not just interrogation. Rhysander is teaching me things too. You need to be able to protect yourself, he says one morning, leading me to a private gym in the building's basement. Not because I won't protect you, but because you deserve to never feel powerless again. He teaches me basic self-defense, how to break a grip, where to strike to disable an attacker, how to move so I'm harder to catch. His touch is always professional, clinical, but there's something else there too. A gentleness that contradicts the violence he's teaching me. Again, he says, after I successfully break his hold for the 10th time. Faster. Don't think. React. We practice until my muscles burn and sweat soaks through my shirt. But with each session, I feel something changing inside me. The constant fear that's lived in my chest since Thorn found me in Penn Station is slowly being replaced by something sharper, stronger, anger. I'm angry at Thorn for what he did to me. Angry at the system that failed to protect me. Angry at every person who looked at me and saw something they could use. And I'm going to channel that anger into destroying the man who tried to destroy me. Leora becomes an unexpected ally. She's been with Rhysander for 6 years, she tells me one afternoon, while teaching me to make traditional Georgian dumplings. She came to America escaping her own demons, and Rhysander gave her a job, a home, and protection. He saved me, she says simply, her hands working the dough with practiced ease. The way he's saving you, it's what he does. Why? I ask. I mean, I'm grateful, but I don't understand why he cares so much about people like us. Leora is quiet for a long moment, considering her words carefully. When Rhysander was 12 years old, his sister was taken, sold by men who saw her as merchandise instead of a person. He spent 3 years searching for her. By the time he found her, she trails off, and I see the pain in her eyes. He was too late. What those men did to her, she never recovered. She took her own life when she was 17. The dough in my hands goes still. Suddenly everything makes sense. The cold fury when he talks about Thorn, the way he looked at me in that auction room, the rules about children that can't be crossed. Her name was Katerina, Leora continues softly. And Rhysander made a promise at her funeral. He would use his power, his money, his connections, everything he had, to make sure what happened to her never happened to anyone else. Not if he could stop it. That's why he's going after Thorn. That's why he's been going after men like Thorn for the past 8 years. Eclipse is just the latest, but Thorn... Leora's expression hardens. Thorn has been careful, protected by the Castellano family. Rhysander has been trying to find a way in for 2 years. And I'm that way in. You're the witness he needs, the testimony that will bring everything down. But you're also more than that. Leora meets my eyes. You're the first girl he's managed to save before she was destroyed. I think that means something to him. Something personal. The conversation stays with me long after dinner is over, while I'm lying in my bed staring at the ceiling, while the city lights paint patterns on my walls. Rhysander Kove is trying to save me because he couldn't save his sister. The thought should feel like pressure, like I need to be grateful, need to perform my role perfectly, need to be the redemption story he's seeking. But instead, it feels like understanding. We're both trying to rewrite a story that ended badly the first time. Are you still with me? Drop an emoji in the comments if this story is hitting you in the feels. It gets even more intense from here. The plan crystallizes on a Tuesday morning in early October. Rhysander spreads blueprints across the dining table, actual architectural plans for Eclipse that must have cost a fortune to obtain. Here, he says, pointing to a section I recognize as Thorn's private office on the 4th floor. This is where he keeps his records, financial transactions, client lists, videos from the auctions. Videos? My stomach turns. For blackmail, insurance against his clients turning on him. If we can get those files, we have everything we need to take him down and everyone associated with him. How do we get in? I ask. Security is tight. Cameras everywhere. Guards at every entrance. Rhysander's lips curve into that dangerous smile. We don't break in. You walk in the front door. My blood runs cold. What? Thorn thinks he owns you. He sold you to me, collected his money, and moved on to the next girl. He has no reason to think you'd ever come back to Eclipse, which means he won't see you coming. You want me to go back there? My voice comes out flat, emotionless, because if I let myself feel what I'm feeling right now, I'll fall apart. I want you to return as my eyes and ears. You'll tell Thorn that you escaped from me, that you need your old job back, that you have nowhere else to go. He'll believe it because he thinks you're weak. He thinks he broke you. And then you work one shift. During that shift, you'll plant these. He produces 3 small devices that look like USB drives. They're data miners. You plug them into any computer system, and they copy everything. Files, emails, transaction records. Takes about 2 minutes to complete the download. 2 minutes? I swallow hard. In his office, where he has cameras. The cameras will be handled. I have someone on the inside who can create a 2-minute loop. To anyone watching, it will look like you're standing still, but you'll have exactly 120 seconds to access his computer, plant the device, and get out. And if something goes wrong? Rhysander's expression goes absolutely cold. Then I burn Eclipse to the ground and kill everyone inside until I find you. He says it so matter-of-factly that I believe him, and somehow that's comforting in a twisted way. Someone who would burn down a building to save me. Someone who sees me as worth saving. When? I asked. Friday night, 3 days from now. It's their busiest night, which means more chaos, more distractions, easier for you to move around unnoticed. What do I need to do? Practice. He pulls out another device, identical to the ones I'll be planning. We have 3 days to make sure you can do this in your sleep. Speed, precision, confidence. By Friday, you'll be able to walk into that office, do the job, and walk out like you belong there. We spend those 3 days rehearsing. Rhysander sets up a mock office in his study, timing me as I enter, locate the computer port, insert the device, and exit. The first few times take me 5 minutes. Too slow. By Wednesday, I'm down to 3 minutes. Still too slow. Stop thinking, Rhysander says, watching me fumble with the device for the 10th time. Your mind is working against you. Trust your hands. Trust your training. I'm not trained, I snap, frustration bleeding through. I'm a 16-year-old foster kid who served drinks for 9 months. I'm not a spy or a criminal or whatever you need me to be. No, Rhysander agrees, moving closer. You're something better. You're someone they'll underestimate. Someone they won't see as a threat. That's your advantage, Solène. Use it. By Thursday night, I can plant the device in 90 seconds. By Friday morning, I can do it in 70. That's good, Rhysander says, satisfaction in his voice. That's more than good enough. But as the day wears on and evening approaches, my confidence wavers. I'm going back to Eclipse, back to Thorn, back to the place that still haunts my dreams. Liura helps me dress in the clothes Rhysander has selected, jeans, a dark shirt, sneakers. Nothing that looks like the uniform Thorn made me wear, but nothing fancy enough to seem suspicious either. I look like a scared runaway, which is exactly the point. Remember, Rhysander says as we sit in the Range Rover 3 blocks from Eclipse, you're there because you have nowhere else to go. You're desperate, frightened, and broke. Thorn will love that. It will feed his ego. And the data miner? In your pocket. The moment you get a chance to access his office, you take it. My contact will create the camera loop at exactly 10:45 p.m. That's your window. What if Thorn doesn't leave me alone long enough to get to his office? He will. Friday nights, he spends most of his time on the main floor working the room. His office will be empty. You'll say you need to grab your old uniform from storage. That's on the 4th floor, same as his office. It's a believable excuse. I nod, trying to steady my breathing. Rhysander reaches out, his hand covering mine where it rests on my knee. Solène. His voice is softer than I've ever heard it. You don't have to do this. Say the word and we find another way. I look at him. Really look at him. This man who paid $100,000 for me, not because he wanted to own me, but because he wanted to save me. This man who has spent 3 weeks teaching me to fight, to think strategically, to believe I'm worth protecting. This man who lost his sister and has been trying to save every other girl since. I want to do this, I say firmly. I need to do this. For me, and for every other girl Thorn has hurt. Rhysander nods once, and something that looks like pride flashes across his face. Then let's end him. Eclipse looks exactly the same as I remember. The entrance is marked by a simple black door with no sign, no advertisement, nothing to indicate what happens inside. If you know, you know. And if you don't, you're not meant to be here. My hand trembles as I reach for the door handle. Behind me, hidden in the shadows half a block away, Rhysander watches, waiting, ready. I pull the door open and step inside. The music hits me immediately, that same bass-heavy rhythm that used to make my bones ache after 8-hour shifts. The main floor is packed with bodies and smoke and expensive suits. Nothing has changed. It's like the past 3 weeks never happened. Except everything has changed. I'm not the same girl who left here. Solène? I turn to find Marcus, one of the security guards, staring at me with genuine surprise. What are you doing here? I thought... Is Thorn here? I interrupt, forcing my voice to shake, playing the role. I need to talk to him. Please. Marcus's expression shifts from surprise to something like pity. He's in the VIP lounge. But Solène, I don't think... Please. I let tears fill my eyes. It's not hard. The fear is real, even if the reason for it isn't what Marcus thinks. I don't have anywhere else to go. He hesitates, then nods toward the stairs. 3rd floor. But be careful. He's in a mood tonight. I climb the stairs with legs that feel like they're made of water. Each step takes me closer to the man who sold me. Each step is a choice I'm making to walk back into hell, because it's the only way to destroy it from the inside. The VIP lounge is exactly as I remember. Leather couches, dim lighting, men who think money makes them gods. And there, holding court in the center of it all, is Thorn Ashford. He's mid-laugh when he sees me, his expression freezing in a way that would be comical if it weren't so terrifying. The laughter dies. The room goes quiet as everyone turns to see what caught his attention. Solène. My name is a question and an accusation and a threat all at once. What the hell are you doing here? I force myself to take 3 steps forward, not too close. Not close enough for him to grab me without being obvious about it. I need my job back. Your job. He stands slowly, and I see the rage building behind his eyes. You think you can just walk back in here after what you cost me? After embarrassing me in front of Mr. Kove? I didn't embarrass you. He bought me. He paid you. I had no choice. And now you're back? Thorn moves closer, and every instinct screams at me to run. But I hold my ground, channeling everything Rhysander taught me. Don't show fear. Don't give him power. What happened? Did your new owner get bored with you already? Decide you weren't worth the money? I ran away, I say, and I let my voice break. 2 weeks ago. He was going to... I stop myself, shaking my head. It doesn't matter. I've been sleeping in shelters. I'm out of money. I need work. You need work. Thorn is right in front of me now, close enough that I can smell the whiskey on his breath. And you thought I'd just take you back? After you made me look weak? I made you look successful, I counter, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. You sold me for $100,000. That's more than you've gotten for any other girl. You should be proud. Something shifts in his expression. The rage is still there, but now there's calculation too. He's weighing options, running numbers, figuring out how to profit from this unexpected opportunity. Your old room in the staff quarters is occupied, he says finally. But if you're serious about coming back, I suppose I can find work for you. On a probationary basis. One wrong move, and you're out. Permanently. Thank you. I force the words out, let them sound grateful, even though they taste like poison. I just need to grab my old uniform from storage. Is it still... 4th floor, same as always. He waves dismissively, already turning back to his guests. Be back down here in 10 minutes. And Solène? He looks back over his shoulder. If I find out you're working for Kove, if this is some kind of setup, I will make sure you disappear in ways that would make your worst nightmares seem pleasant. I nod, not trusting my voice, and turn toward the stairs. 4th floor. Thorn's office. 10:45 p.m. I check my phone. 10:38 p.m. 7 minutes. The fourth floor is quieter than the levels below. Storage rooms, Thorne's private office, a small break room that staff rarely uses. I move quickly to the storage room where uniforms are kept, grabbing one of the black skirts and white blouses from the rack. This establishes my alibi. I'm here for a uniform. Nothing suspicious, just doing what I said I would. 10:42 p.m. I move to Thorne's office. The door is locked, but Rhysander prepared me for this. The lockpick kit he gave me is small, simple, designed for basic locks like this one. My hands shake as I work the mechanism, but 20 seconds later, I hear the click. 10:43 p.m. The office is exactly as I remember. Large desk, expensive chair, computer system that probably cost more than most people's cars. The walls are covered in photos of Thorne with various celebrities and politicians, all of them smiling like they're friends instead of co-conspirators in hell. I approach the computer. It's in sleep mode, the screen dark. I move the mouse and it comes to life, asking for a password. Damn, this wasn't part of the plan. Rhysander said Thorne often left his computer logged in because he was arrogant, assumed no one would dare enter his office. But tonight, he was more careful. 10:44 p.m. Think. What would Thorne use as a password? I try Eclipse. Incorrect. Thorne, incorrect. Ashford, incorrect. 10:45 p.m. 1 minute until the camera loop starts. 1 minute until I either succeed or this entire operation falls apart. And then I remember. A conversation I overheard months ago. Thorne bragging to a business associate about his new car, his pride and joy. A 1967 Shelby GT500 that he kept in a private garage and never drove. I type, Shelby 67. The computer unlocks. 10:45 p.m. Exactly. Somewhere in this building, Rhysander's contact is creating a camera loop. To anyone watching the security feed, I'm standing still in the hallway, but I'm actually moving. Accessing Thorne's computer, searching for the USB port. There, side of the tower. I pull the data miner from my pocket, hands steadier now because there's no time for fear. No room for doubt. This moment is everything. I plug the device in. A small light on it blinks red, then amber, then starts pulsing green. It's working. Downloading files, copying everything, gathering evidence that will burn Thorne's empire to the ground. 120 seconds. I force myself to breathe slowly, to count in my head, to resist the urge to watch the door because that will make time move slower. Instead, I look at Thorne's desk, at the papers scattered across it. Financial records, names I don't recognize, photos that make my stomach turn. And then I see it. A folder labeled Katerina. My hand moves before my brain could stop it, opening the folder. Inside are photos of a girl, maybe 14 or 15 years old, with dark hair and gray eyes that look hauntingly like Rhysander's. There are documents too, medical records showing repeated injuries, police reports that went nowhere, and a death certificate dated 8 years ago. This is Rhysander's sister, and Thorne knew her, was connected to her somehow. The data miner beeps softly. Download complete. I pull it from the computer, slip it into my pocket, close the folder, and move toward the door. My hands are shaking now. Not from fear, but from rage. Thorne didn't just sell girls like me. He was part of the network that destroyed Rhysander's sister. 10:47 p.m. The camera loop will end any second. I need to be in the hallway, moving normally, doing exactly what I said I would. I slip out of the office, closing the door behind me and making sure the lock engages. Then I walk toward the stairs, uniform in hand, looking like someone who just retrieved what she came for. Solène. The voice behind me makes my heart stop. What are you doing up here? I turn to find Marcus, the security guard, standing at the top of the stairs. He's looking at me with suspicion now, the earlier pity replaced by something harder. Getting my uniform. I hold it up, showing him. Thorne said I could have my job back. I needed my old clothes. Marcus studies me for a long moment, and I can see him calculating, trying to decide if I'm telling the truth. Then he nods slowly. All right. But Thorne wants you back in the VIP lounge. Now. I follow him downstairs, my heart hammering. the data miner feeling like it weighs 1,000 pounds in my pocket. If Thorn decides to search me, if he suspects anything, this is all over. But when I reach the VIP lounge, Thorn barely looks at me. "You start tomorrow night, 6 p.m., don't be late." "Thank you," I manage, and then I'm moving. Heading for the exit, walking carefully so I don't run, because running would be suspicious. The night air hits my face like a blessing when I step outside. I walk 3 blocks, exactly as planned, and then the Range Rover pulls up beside me. The door opens. Rhysander looks at me with an intensity that steals my breath. "Did you get it?" I pull the data miner from my pocket and hold it up. His expression transforms into something fierce and triumphant. "Get in." I climb into the vehicle, and the moment the door closes, I realize I'm shaking. Not from fear anymore, from relief, from adrenaline, from the knowledge that I just walked into hell and came out victorious. "You were perfect," Rhysander says, as we pull away from Eclipse. "Absolutely perfect." There's something else. I turn to look at him. Thorn had a file on Katarina, your sister. The temperature in the car drops 10 degrees. "What?" "Photos, records, medical documents." I watch his expression go absolutely cold. "He was part of it, Rhysander. Whatever happened to her, Thorn was involved." For a long moment he doesn't speak, just stares out the window, his jaw tight, his hands clenched into fists. When he finally looks at me, his eyes are the gray of a winter storm. "Then I won't just put him in prison," he says quietly. "I'll make him suffer." I'm getting emotional over here. If this story is affecting you the way it's affecting me, let me know in the comments. We're not done yet. The next 48 hours are a blur of activity. Rhysander has a team, people I never see, but whose work is evident in the constant flow of information. The data miner yielded more than we hoped. Financial records connecting Thorn to a dozen criminal enterprises, client lists that read like a who's who of powerful men, and videos. So many videos. "This is enough," Rhysander tells me Saturday evening. Enough to put him away for multiple lifetimes. Enough to take down his entire network. "When do we go to the authorities?" "We don't." He looks up from the laptop where he's been reviewing files. "Not yet. First, we make sure everyone who enabled Thorn goes down with him. Every client, every business partner, every corrupt official who looked the other way. They all need to pay." "That could take months. Weeks," he corrects. "I have contacts in the FBI. People who have been trying to build a case against Thorn for years. With this evidence, they can move quickly. But there's something I need to do first." "What?" "Confront him." Rhysander's expression is absolutely cold. "I need him to know that it was me, that I took everything from him the way he took everything from me." "That's dangerous." "I don't care." "I care." The words are out before I can stop them. "You saved me. You gave me a chance when I had nothing, so I care if you put yourself at risk for revenge." Rhysander looks at me for a long moment, something unreadable in his expression. "Solène, I know what you're going to say, that this isn't about me, that it's about your sister, that you need to do this for her. But she wouldn't want you to destroy yourself getting vengeance. She'd want you to live, to be happy." "You didn't know her." "No, but I know you. And I know that the man who spent 3 weeks teaching me self-defense and making sure I felt safe is not the same man who wants to confront a dangerous criminal alone." He's quiet for a long time. Then, "What do you suggest?" "Let the FBI handle it. Give them everything and let them take Thorn down. That's the best revenge, watching him lose everything publicly, knowing he can't hurt anyone else." "And what about the file on Katarina?" "That goes to the FBI too. Let them investigate. Let them uncover every connection, every person who was involved. You don't have to carry this alone anymore, Rhysander. You have help. People who can finish what you started." I can see him struggling with it, the need for personal vengeance, warring with logic, with safety, with the knowledge that I'm right. Finally, he nods. "All right, We do this your way, but I'm there when they arrest him. I need to see his face when he realizes it's over. Deal. The FBI moves faster than I expected. By Tuesday, they've verified the evidence. By Wednesday, they've assembled a task force. By Friday, exactly 1 week after I walked into Thorne's office and changed everything, they're ready to move. Rhysander and I watch from a surveillance van parked half a block from Eclipse. The FBI agent in charge, a woman named Cassandra Morales, has been keeping us updated every step of the way. Team 1 is in position, she says into her radio. Team 2, go. On the monitors, I watch as agents in tactical gear flood into Eclipse from multiple entrances simultaneously. Thorne won't have time to run, won't have time to destroy evidence, won't have time to do anything except realize that his empire is crumbling. There. Rhysander points to one of the screens showing the VIP lounge. Thorne is visible, his face going white as agents swarm the room. He tries to stand, tries to run, but there's nowhere to go. Within seconds, he's on the ground, hands being cuffed behind his back, and the expression on his face is everything I hoped it would be. Terror, confusion, disbelief. We have Ashford in custody, an agent reports over the radio, also securing 17 individuals from the client list. Multiple arrests in progress. Agent Morales looks at us. It's done. Thorne Ashford is going to prison for the rest of his life, and so are at least 30 other people who enabled his operation. What about the victims? I ask. The other girls? We have crisis counselors standing by, social workers. Everyone who was being held at Eclipse will be offered support, protection, and resources to rebuild their lives. Thanks to your testimony, Solène, we can help them. My testimony. Because after we gave the FBI the evidence, I sat in an interview room for 6 hours telling them everything. Every detail about Eclipse, about Thorne, about the auction, about the men who came looking to buy human beings. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, reliving those months, but it was also necessary. Those girls deserve justice. They deserve to be heard, and I can give them that. On the monitor, I watch as agents lead Thorne out of Eclipse in handcuffs. He's shouting something, probably threats or demands for a lawyer, but nobody's listening. He's just another criminal now, being loaded into a police van, his power stripped away. Rhysander's hand finds mine, his fingers intertwining with my own. When I look at him, I see something I haven't seen before in his gray eyes. Peace. Not complete peace. He'll always carry the loss of his sister. But something has shifted. A chapter has closed. Thank you, he says quietly, for stopping me from doing something stupid, for making me see that this was the right way. You saved me, I reply. This is just returning the favor. 2 months later, I'm sitting in a classroom at Manhattan Academy Charter School, staring at a test that's determining my placement for the spring semester. Rhysander arranged everything. Enrollment, transcripts from my old schools, even tutoring to help me catch up on the education I lost during my time at Eclipse. He's been adamant that I finish high school, that I have options, that I build the life I want instead of the life I was forced into. How'd it go? He asks when I emerge from the testing center 3 hours later. He's waiting in the lobby, looking out of place in his expensive suit among the teenagers and backpacks, but somehow also completely at ease. Hard, I admit, but I think I did okay. They said I'd know my placement by next week. You'll do more than okay. He guides me toward the car with a hand on my lower back, a gesture that's become familiar over the past weeks. Protective, but not possessive. You're brilliant, Solène. They're lucky to have you. In the car, I watch the city pass by outside the window. So much has changed since that night in the auction room. Thorne is awaiting trial, looking at charges that will keep him in prison for the rest of his life. The FBI's investigation uncovered connections to trafficking rings in 6 states, leading to the arrest of over 100 people. Eclipse was seized as a criminal asset and will be demolished next month. And I'm alive, Not just breathing, but actually living. Rhysander, I say as we pull up to the Tribeca loft. What happens when the trial is over? When you don't need me to testify anymore? He turns off the engine, but doesn't immediately get out of the car. What do you want to happen? I don't know. That's not entirely true. I do know. But saying it out loud feels dangerous, like I'm asking for too much. I mean, I'm grateful for everything you've done. The apartment, the school enrollment, everything. But I don't want to be your charity case forever. You've never been a charity case. His voice is firm. You were my partner in taking down a criminal empire. You were brave and smart and strong, and now you're someone I care about. That's not charity, Solène. That's family. Family? The word hits me harder than I expected. I haven't had family since my mother died. Haven't had anyone who looked at me and saw someone worth keeping. Leora and I talked, Rhysander continues, about making your living arrangement permanent, if that's what you want. This could be your home for as long as you need it. Until you finish school, until you go to college, until you decide what you want your life to look like. You'd do that? My voice comes out smaller than I intend. Let me stay? I'd be honored if you stayed. He turns to look at me, and those gray eyes are softer than I've ever seen them. You've become part of my life, Solène, an important part, and I don't want that to change just because Thorn is gone. The tears I've been holding back for weeks finally spill over. Not sad tears, relief, joy. The overwhelming sensation of being wanted, being seen, being enough exactly as I am. Rhysander doesn't tell me to stop crying or ask if I'm okay. He just hands me tissues from the glove compartment and waits while I pull myself together. Okay, I finally say, my voice still thick with tears. Okay, I'll stay. If you're sure, I'm sure. Wait until you see what happens next. We're almost at the end, and I promise you this ending is everything. The trial begins in January. I'm the prosecution's star witness, which means weeks of preparation with attorneys, going over my testimony, making sure I'm ready to face Thorn in court. It's terrifying and empowering in equal measure. Rhysander accompanies me to every preparation session, sitting in the back of the room, a silent reminder that I'm not alone in this. When the day finally comes for me to testify, I wear a navy blue dress that Leora helped me pick out. Professional, respectable, the outfit of someone who should be taken seriously instead of dismissed as damaged goods. The courtroom is packed. Media, advocates, families of victims. And in the defendant's chair, looking smaller somehow, is Thorn Ashford. He stares at me as I take the stand, his expression a mixture of hatred and disbelief. He never imagined this moment, the invisible girl he sold turning into the weapon that would destroy him. Please state your name for the record, the prosecutor begins. Solène Graves. And how old are you, Solène? 16. A murmur goes through the courtroom. 16. Still a child. Still someone who should have been protected instead of sold. For the next 3 hours, I tell my story, all of it. How Thorn found me sleeping in Penn Station, how he offered me a job that turned into captivity, how he controlled my food, my sleep, my every movement, how he told me I was worthless, invisible, nothing more than merchandise. And I tell them about the auction, about standing in that room while men evaluated me like property, about the moment I realized I was being sold to the highest bidder. I don't cry while I testify. I save the tears for later, for when I'm safe with Rhysander and Leora, for when I don't have to be strong anymore. Right now, I need Thorn to see that he didn't break me, that I survived him, that I won. When I'm finished, the prosecutor asks one final question. Solène, after everything Thorn Ashford did to you, what do you want the court to understand? I look directly at Thorn. I want the court to understand that I'm not the only one. There were girls before me, and there would have been girls after me if someone hadn't stopped him. Every single one of us deserves justice. Every single one of us deserved to be protected. and every single person who enabled what happened to us should be held accountable. The jury convicts Thorne Ashford on all counts: human trafficking, racketeering, money laundering, conspiracy, sexual exploitation of minors. The list goes on. His sentence: life in prison without the possibility of parole. When the verdict is read, I watch his face crumple. Watch the reality sink in that he'll never walk free again, that his empire is gone, that the girls he tried to destroy were the ones who destroyed him instead. Outside the courthouse, media swarms, but Rhysander's security team creates a path for us. We don't stop to answer questions. This isn't about publicity or fame. It's about justice, and justice has been served. In the car, Rhysander takes my hand. How do you feel? Lighter, I say, and it's true. A weight I didn't realize I'd been carrying has lifted. Like I can finally breathe. You were incredible in there. Katerina would have been proud of you. I wish I could have known her. She would have liked you. You have the same fire she did, the same refusal to be invisible. He's quiet for a moment. I've been thinking about the money. What money? The $100,000 I paid Thorne for you. The FBI seized his assets, which means that money is part of the criminal restitution fund being distributed to his victims. He looks at me seriously. I'm going to make sure you get it, all of it. It's yours, your college fund, your future, whatever you want it to be. Rhysander, that's too much. It's not enough, he interrupts. Nothing could ever be enough for what you went through, but it's a start, a foundation for you to build whatever life you want. Of $100,000, the price Thorne sold me for, now being returned to give me freedom. The symmetry is almost poetic. Thank you, I say quietly, for everything, for saving me, for believing in me, for making me believe in myself. You saved yourself, Solène. I just gave you the tools. He squeezes my hand gently. Now the question is, what do you want to do next? I think about that question as we drive through Manhattan, the city that's been both my prison and my salvation. I think about the other girls from Eclipse, most of them now in safe housing or reunited with families, all of them beginning the long process of healing. And I think about the girl I was, invisible, powerless, convinced she didn't matter. That girl is gone. In her place is someone stronger, someone who knows her worth, someone who survived hell and came out fighting. I want to help them, I say finally. The other girls, the ones who are still trapped, still being sold, still invisible. I want to make sure what happened to me never happens to anyone else. Rhysander smiles that rare, genuine smile that transforms his entire face. Then that's what we'll do, together. 6 months after Thorne's conviction, I stand in front of a crowd of people at a fundraiser for trafficking victims. I'm 17 now, a high school junior, and I've spent the past months working with advocacy groups and survivor networks. Tonight, I'm telling my story. Not all of it. Some things are too private, too painful to share publicly, but enough to help people understand what trafficking looks like, how it happens, who it happens to. I was 16 when I was sold. I begin, and the room goes silent. And the most surprising thing wasn't that it happened. It was how easily it happened. How invisible I was. How many people could have helped me but didn't because they didn't see me as worth saving. I talk about Eclipse, about Thorne, about the night Rhysander bought me. I talk about how one person seeing you, really seeing you, can change everything. Trafficking thrives on invisibility, I conclude, on victims being too scared to speak up, and society being too comfortable to pay attention. But we're not invisible anymore. We're here. We're survivors, and we're going to make sure no one else has to survive what we did. The applause is overwhelming. But more important than the applause is what comes after, people approaching me with stories, with questions, with tears in their eyes because they finally feel seen. One woman tells me about her daughter who went missing 3 years ago. Another shares that she was trafficked as a teen and spent 20 years recovering. A young girl, maybe 14, asks if she can talk to me privately because she thinks her friend is in danger. This is my purpose now. This is what I'm meant to do. Rhysander watches from the side of the room, his expression proud. Leora stands next to him, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. They're my family now, the family I chose, the family that chose me. Later, in the car riding home, Rhysander says, "You're going to change lives, Solène. You already have." "I learned from the best," I reply, and I mean it. He showed me what it means to use power for good, to see people who society overlooks, to refuse to accept that some people are disposable. "What do you think you'll do after high school?" he asks. "Have you thought about college?" "Social work, maybe, or law. Something where I can keep fighting for people who need someone in their corner." I look out the window at the city lights. "And maybe someday I'll start a foundation for girls aging out of foster care so they don't end up like I did, so they have resources and support and people who see them." "I'll help you build it," Rhysander says immediately. "Whatever you need, funding, connections, legal support, all of it." "Partners?" I ask, extending my hand with a small smile. He takes it, his grip firm and warm. "Partners." Did this story touch your heart? If Solène's journey moved you, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Stories like this matter, and your engagement helps them reach people who need to hear them. 1 year after the trial, on my 18th birthday, I received 3 gifts. The first is from Leora, a cookbook filled with her family recipes, and a note that says, "Home is where someone teaches you to make khachapuri at 2 a.m. It makes me cry because she's right. Home isn't a place anymore. It's people. It's belonging. The second is from the FBI. Official notification that the last member of Thorne's trafficking network has been convicted. 23 arrests total, dozens of victims freed. Multiple organizations shut down. The ripple effect of our actions continues spreading outward. Touching lives we'll never meet, but hopefully saving." The third gift is from Rhysander. It's a key. "This is the deed to the apartment," he explains as I turn it over in my hands, confused. "It's yours now, legally, permanently, not a rental, not a temporary arrangement. You're home." "Rhysander, I can't." "You can. You will." His gray eyes are serious. "You've given me more than you realize, Solène. You gave me purpose beyond revenge. You reminded me why I started this work in the first place. You made me see that saving people isn't just about stopping bad men. It's about giving good people the chance to build lives worth living. I didn't do that. You already—" "Let me finish." He holds up a hand. "For years I've been driven by guilt, by the belief that if I saved enough people, somehow I could make up for failing Katerina. But I was wrong. I couldn't save her, and that's something I have to live with. But I could save you, and in doing that, you save me too." The tears are flowing freely now, and I don't try to stop them. "So yes," Rhysander continues, his voice softer. "The apartment is yours. The college fund is yours. Your future is yours. Build whatever life you want, and know that wherever you go, whatever you do, you have family behind you." I throw my arms around him, hugging him tightly, and he hugs me back with the fierce protectiveness that's defined our relationship from the beginning. "Thank you," I whisper, "for seeing me when I was invisible, for making me believe I mattered, for everything." "You always mattered," he says quietly. "I just made sure you knew it." 5 years later, I graduate from Columbia University with a degree in social work and a minor in criminal justice. Rhysander and Leora are in the audience, cheering louder than anyone else when my name is called. They've been at every milestone, every birthday, every award ceremony, every moment I needed someone to believe in me. After the ceremony, I tell them about my next step, opening the Katerina House, a residential program for girls aging out of foster care, a place where they'll have support, resources, education assistance, and most importantly, people who see them. Katerina would be honored, Rhysander says, and his eyes are bright with unshed tears. The program launches 6 months later in a renovated brownstone in Brooklyn. We have space for 12 girls initially, with plans to expand as funding allows. Rhysander's foundation covers operational costs, but I've also secured grants from other organizations who believe in the mission. On opening day, our first resident arrives. She's 15, just aged out of state care, with nowhere to go and no one to help her. She reminds me so much of myself at that age that it hurts to look at her. "Hi," I say, extending my hand. "I'm Solène. Welcome home." She takes my hand hesitantly, her eyes wary. "What's the catch?" "No catch. This is a safe place where people will help you build whatever life you want. Education, job, training, counseling, legal support, whatever you need. All we ask is that you show up and try." "Why?" she asks. "Why would you do this for strangers?" "Because someone did it for me." I smile. "Because every girl deserves to be seen, to matter, to have a chance." She nods slowly, still skeptical, but I see something shift in her expression. The tiniest spark of hope. It's enough. 10 years after the night I was sold, I sit in my office at Katerina House, reviewing applications for our expansion program. We now have 3 locations serving 60 girls with a 4th building planned for next year. My phone rings. Rhysander. "Have you seen the news?" he asks. "No, why?" "The Justice Department just announced a new federal task force on human trafficking, and they cited the Thorne Ashford case as the model for how to investigate and prosecute these operations." I pull up the news article on my computer, reading quickly. There it is. Our story. How a teenage girl's testimony brought down a trafficking empire. How that conviction led to changes in law enforcement protocols, victim support systems, and prosecution strategies. "We did that," I say softly. "We actually changed things." "You did that," Rhysander corrects. "You were brave enough to speak up when it mattered most. Everything else followed from that." After we hang up, I sit quietly for a moment, thinking about the girl I was, scared, alone, convinced she was invisible. She would be amazed by who I became. No, that's not quite right. She would be amazed that she survived, that she fought back, that she turned her pain into purpose and her trauma into transformation. But she wouldn't be amazed by who I am now, because the strength was always there, buried under fear and circumstance. Rhysander didn't give it to me. He just helped me find it. And now I spend my days helping other girls find their strength too. The door to my office opens, and one of our residents pokes her head in. "Miss Solène, I finished my college application. Would you look at it?" "Of course." I gesture her in, and as she hands me the papers, I see the same thing I saw in the mirror this morning. Not invisible anymore, not powerless, not less than. A survivor, a fighter, someone who matters, and that makes everything. Every painful memory, every moment of fear, every sacrifice, worth it. Because Thorne Ashford tried to make me disappear. Instead, I made sure he could never hurt anyone again. And that's the greatest revenge of all, living well, helping others, and proving that the girls they tried to break are actually unbreakable. The end.